No, you weren't.
But was that James Rowlands you were going around with? Yes. You weren't planning to marry him, were you, Libby? Jealous, Andrew? Andrew looks confused. Of that? Of a slab of glass? Of a trick of the light? Of course not. I don't think I would have married him, Libby says. Andrew says, You know, I wish it hadn't ended when it did. There was something that was about to happen, I think. He stops, then says, slowly, It was as though I would rather have spilled my glass over anybody else in the room. Even over Aileen? I wasn't giving two thoughts to Aileen. You don't believe me, I suppose? Maybe I do. She looks up at him. I've been silly, Andrew. Let's live our real life, and not play with all the things that just might have been. He catches her hands. No, Libby. One last time. Let's see what we would have been doing right now, this very minute, if I had married Aileen. Libby was a little frightened. Let's not, Andrew. She didn't want to know what happened afterward. She just wanted this life now, this good life. Andrew says again, I want to try, Libby. She replies, Okay, if you want to, Andrew. She decides that it wouldn't matter. Nothing would matter. Her hands reach out and encircle his arm. She holds it tightly, and while she holds it, she thinks, Nothing in the make-believe can take him from me. Andrew instructs the little man, Start it up again. In the dim yellow light, the process seems to be slower, but gently the frosted slab clears. Andrew says, There's something wrong. That's just the two of us, exactly as we are now. He was right. On the screen, two little figures are sitting on a train on the seats which were farthest toward the front. It's the same train, Andrew says, his voice now beginning to fade. The window in the back is cracked just as... On screen, Libby was blindingly happy. She says, I wish we were in Glasgow. He replies, It will be less than an hour, darling. Then he says, I'm going to kiss you. He makes a movement, as though he is about to begin. Not here. Oh, Andrew, people are looking. Andrew draws back. He says, We should have taken a taxi. From Carlisle to Glasgow? Sure. The privacy would have been worth it. She laughs. You're funny when you try to act passionate. It isn't an act. His voice was suddenly a little somber. It's not just an hour, you know. I feel as though I've been waiting 5 years. I do too, Libby says. Why couldn't I have met you first? It was such a waste, he says. Poor Aileen, Libby sighs. Andrew says impatiently, Don't be sorry for her, Libby. We never really made a go of it. She was glad to be rid of me. I know that. That's why I say, poor Aileen. I'm just sorry for her for not being able to appreciate what she had. We'll see to it that you do, he says. See to it that you're immensely appreciative, infinitely appreciative, or more than that, we'll see that you're at least half as appreciative as I am of what I've got. Or else you'll divorce me too. Over my dead body, says Andrew. Libby says, It's all so strange. I keep thinking, what if you hadn't spilt your beer on me that time at the party? You wouldn't have followed me out. You wouldn't have told me. I wouldn't have known. It would have been so different. Everything. Nonsense. It would have been just the same. It would have all happened another time, Andrew says. I wonder, says Libby softly. Train noises merge into train noises. City lights flicker outside, and the atmosphere of Glasgow Central was about them. The coach becomes awake with travellers sorting out their belongings. Libby is lost in thought. Andrew shakes her. She looks at him and says, All the pieces fit after all. He says, Yes. She puts a hand on his. But it wasn't good, just the same. I was very wrong. I thought that because we had each other, we should also have all the possible each others. But all the possibles are none of our business. The real is enough. Do you know what I mean? He nods. She says, there are millions of other what-could-have-beens. I don't want to know what happened in any of them. I'll never say, what if, again. Andrew says, relax, dear. Here's your coat. And he reaches for their suitcases. Libby says, with sudden sharpness, where's Mr. Fate? Andrew turns slowly to the empty seat that faces them. Together, they scan the rest of the coach. Maybe, Andrew says, he moved into the next coach. But why? Besides, he wouldn't leave his hat. She leans over to pick it up. Andrew says, what hat? And Libby stops her fingers from hovering over nothingness. She says, it was here. I almost touched it. She straightens up and says, oh, Andrew, what if? Andrew gently puts a finger over her mouth. Darling, she says, I'm sorry. Here, let me help you with the suitcases. The end.